Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Kay Murray and Ali Moreno here in the studio. Ian Darke and Frank Leboeuf with us to answer your questions. So thank you for sending them in.
Quick question, Kay. Hashtag FC Extra Time. Why did you decide against the orange jacket that you were wearing all day, coming into the studio? You had made the choice, and then it was a last-minute scratch. What happened?
Okay, the orange jacket was bought for the Valencia-Barca opening game of the season.
Okay.
It looked fabulous in Mestalla with the orange and black undertones in the stadium. A little bit clashy here in the FC studio.
Well,
Caught myself on camera, decided against it.
Well, can we put it on and let Ian and Frank?
Ian seen it. Ian was out having a cerveza with us.
I loved it. I loved it.
There you go. So see, Frank won. There we go. All right.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah, we want to see.
Well, you're not going to miss me.
That was beautiful.
Parade. This could catch on, Ali.
Let's say. There we go. It's not a traffic cone. It is not a traffic cone. It is Kay Murray.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. You look.
Thank you. Do we like it?
Wow.
Yeah, the problem it doesn't. It doesn't match the yellow shirt. So Ali, can you take off your shirt, please?
Excuse me. I'm sorry. What? All right. Is this what we're doing this day?
We need the orange tie. That would probably be the...
I think Kay looks equally good in either outfit.
Correct answer, Ian. Correct answer.
What
You
a
can tell Ian's been married for a long
What
time.
a gentleman.
I don't disagree. I was just asking why there was this last-minute decision against the jacket.
Well, here we are with the orange jacket. Okay. All right. Should Ancelotti play with a back four of Militao, Tchouaméni, Rudiger and Mendy?
Is that to the panel?
You know what? Okay, let me put it to Frank Leboeuf, if I may, first.
That can be a very good idea. I think they have to secure knowing the talent of the forward line in the Barca. I think that would be a very good idea. But for me, the concern is not about the back line of Real Madrid. It's mostly about the tactic and the back line of the Barca back four. I don't get carried away by the game that they played and won against Bayern Munich, because they were so much in danger, and Munich would have been a little bit more clever and more accurate. It could have been a different result. But according to what Mohamed Tahir is saying, it's a very good idea. I think Militao on the right side will deal well, and Tchouaméni as the centre back can be a very good idea.
The only thing, and I understand why this is a question that is posed out there, because of the limitations that we have seen on Lucas Vázquez and how much he has been exposed in that right back position. In taking Militao out of the central position and put him out in right back, now you don't have two players to deal with, not just Lewandowski, but the late runners coming out of the midfield from Barcelona. And those late runners can be Pedri, can be Rafinha, and Militao would be able, on the inside, would be able to match the speed of Rafinha. And so that's my only concern as to why I wouldn't put Militao out wide, because Barcelona don't really have a natural threat down the left-hand side. I would keep Militao more central with Rudiger and have Lucas Vázquez do whatever he can out on the right-hand side.
All right.
They've
Ian,
got a problem, haven't they, with Lucas Vázquez? What if he gets injured? Who's going to play right back? Dani Carvajal's out for the season. Vázquez can play right back. He isn't really a right back. If he's injured, what do? Play Valverde there?
Yeah, but Ian, there is no more choices. That's a good question. But you cannot hire another right back or full back because in case you have Lucas Vázquez. Ancelotti has to make sure that the dressing room goes well, and at certain points, maybe in a while, Carvajal will be back, and therefore Lucas Vázquez will go back on the bench, and you will have two fullbacks. It's hard to accept that now, but last season, with all the injuries that they had at the back four, they managed to win the Champions League and the Liga. So why do you want him to hire another fullback? That's not necessary in his mind.
Yeah, but Dani Carvajal's out for the season. So January, there's all the talk about Trent Alexander-Arnold, whether that's just speculation or there's more substance to it. We're going to find out in the next, couple of months or so. But, hey, it's an interesting situation.
Yes, it is. Ian, what's the worst commentator's curse you ever levied against some poor, unsuspecting player?
There are too many of those to mention. I mean, Ali will tell you, and Frank. I mean, every time you're calling a game, you might remark that so-and-so is having a very fine game and being influential in the middle of the pitch. And you can bet your bottom dollar at that moment he'll play a terrible pass that goes out of play 10 yards away from the intended target. So, yeah, it's happened a million times. So it's no point in trying to narrow it down to one. It happens in every single match.
Yes, that would be a lot then as well for Ian. Frank, why does PSG always seem to have testy relationships with ex-players like Mbappe, Messi and Rabiot? Does that make it difficult to recruit and sign players?
What means testy relationship for you?
A difficult relationship, like fractured relationships.
I don't know. It's maybe in the culture of the club. I can't really, answer to that question. It is what it is. That club is, I mean, it's a different club. It's a kind of a new club. Don't forget that PSG was created in '72, and that the history of the club is not what represents the club right now. Qatar came in 2010, I think, something like that, and dramatically changed the Ligue 1 and the way of seeing Paris Saint-Germain. They were a little bit more a kind of a family spirit and atmosphere at the Paris Saint-Germain, with players like Paoletta, like Luis Fernandez and David Ginola, Camboire, Ronaldinho also. It was a different club. Now it's like a show business club. So it's like they don't have a relationship. It's like they show up in the Parc des Princes, they do what they have to do, but they don't really take the time to understand each other or to be willing to understand each other and to have kind of really good relationships.
Yeah, it's interesting because
little shout out. Before the times of Ronaldinho at PSG, if you think of Brazilian players that went to PSG and did really well and were heroes at PSG, Rai, Brazilian player that you may remember from the '94 World Cup. He was outstanding for PSG, and so much was expected of him in the national team. And once you get to the Brazilian national team, then perhaps he was unable to match what the expectations were and wearing the number 10 jersey. But for PSG, he is, I imagine, well remembered because of all the individual performances that he had, all the success that he had with the club.
He's a real legend. I mean, I have the chance to know Rai, and every time I see him in Paris Saint-Germain, the guy is a real legend. Like Ricardo is. He was a centre back for Paris Saint-Germain as well, and so many others. I mean, the Brazilian signings at the time in the 90s were absolutely fantastic. And there was another one, a midfielder, I forgot his name, but played with Rai also in the middle of the park. Was great, and I'm sorry I forgot his name, but there are so many very interesting Brazilian players who played for Paris Saint-Germain, and that's because of Daniel Echter, the creator of Paris Saint-Germain, with some others, a designer, a fashion guy as well, who had very good relationship with Brazil and knew how to recruit those fantastic players.
Nice background there, Frank. For Ian, what stadium do you like more, Camp Nou or the Bernabeu?
Well, at the moment, the Camp Nou, there's another delay, isn't there? So
don't try and get out of the question, Ian.
It's not reopening till January. I'm going to say the Bernabeu because I grew up seeing Real Madrid winning football matches there and winning the European Cup, as it was then called, 5 times in a row. And you think about Di Stefano and Puskás, and those great players, and Paco Gento out on the wing. So it holds a kind of magic for me. So if I had to choose one, I would say the Bernabeu.
Frank, is Enzo Fernandez Chelsea's most important midfielder?
That's a good question. I'm not sure about that. I think I think there are still some question marks about Enzo Fernandez. I mean, he's a great player, that's for sure. He's been bought for lots of money. He's a champion of the world. He has all the credit, but comparing to all the fantastic midfielders I've seen throughout the history of the successful Chelsea, it's hard to rank Enzo Fernandez as the most important midfielder. Right now, with this team, I'm sure that Caicedo has to work hard to go there, but I don't see anybody getting the most important midfielder prize right now. It's still an area where we still have some question marks. I mean, midfielder, Cole Palmer is a midfielder. He's the forward midfielder, and there is no debate how strong Cole Palmer is and comparing to anybody else. So the most important midfielder right now is Cole Palmer.
There may be some bias and leading the witness here as to who's asking the question.
Is that you, Enzo Fernandez?
Enzo.
It could very well
Am
be.
I the most important midfielder, says Enzo? I don't think he is, you know.
You don't, Ian.
At Liverpool at the weekend, he wasn't in the starting lineup. He picked I know he'd been away playing in South America, but he picked Romeo Lavia and Caicedo. And Fernandez was in the team tonight, and usually the team they put out in Europe is the second team. So maybe he's not going to play against Newcastle either.
All right. Frank, lots of questions about French, players playing in Ligue 1 and French topics tonight. Frank, what's your opinion in Edon Zhegrova? He was man of the match against Real Madrid. Last night he came from the bench and scored a great goal against Oblak and is the best dribbler right now based on stats. This is a player for Lille, obviously.
Yeah, he's a great player, and I mean, he's a tricky guy. He seems to be very, I would say, light or too light, and sometimes you say, oh, he's going to be moved by the by the defender, but he stands there and he works hard. He's of course very good with the ball and everything, but I like the fact that his consistency is there. Every game that he plays, he gives 100%. That's very interesting, and that's a very good catch from Lille. But it's not the first time that they have fantastic players. Just name a few. You know, for example, Eden Hazard at the best.
Nice.
It's a similar profile of player as a guy that we're very familiar with in Bundesliga, in Hugo Ekitike. Strong dribbler, shifty guy, but that, as Frank was just alluding to, a little light. So if you can get a body on him, then it makes it uncomfortable for him. But what I have seen from these younger players is that they're able to ride the challenge, even though physically they may not be the most impressive guys out on the field.
Yeah. One of your favourite players scored today.
Lille
Ian.
are great, aren't they? They've beaten Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid. And the player we're talking about has been great in both those games, and Jonathan David as well, the Canadian.
Yes, he has. Your favourite, Hugo Larsson, scored today for France.
Well, of course he did.
Yes, that's another player that maybe wouldn't get the credit he deserves, but he gets it every week off Ali Moreno.
I'll tell you what doesn't get the credit it deserves is that jacket.
L'Agence, you can send me lots more clothes if you like.
Yes.
What?
You have a whole range.
Oh, freebies!
Yeah.
Somebody's looking for freebies. Oh, come on!
Hey,
Shameless plug.
Whoever that brand was, let me just tell you something. Ahead of the show, that jacket was over there on the floor. Don't
I have it in three colours.
Don't buy what she's selling.
And I will prove it in the next editions of ESPN FC. Thank you so much for being with us on the latest Extra Time. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again.